How about having the balls to ask these two questions?
Let me hear. Fire away.
Are we all in on holding people accountable for insensitive remarks, or only when it's convenient for us?
Why would she say something like that? Did she know?
Get Elle Duncan on the phone. We're gonna work to get this woman not out of ESPN, out of the business.
I think we owe Elle an apology.
Completely out of the business. ESPN anchor Sage Steele claims black colleagues excluded her from race special. Now, Sage Steele is a Republican. I think. She certainly is. Like, she has taken Drew Brees' side, and she's asked questions.
So she could also just be like an independent thinker.
Right, but that means in their world. Right?
See, I took more as that she kind of talks. She doesn't seem black enough, which is another trope that is,
I guess,
prevalent.
But I guess even the idea of black enough is, I guess like kind of a not of course. It's a racial idea.
Yeah. ESPN anchor Sage Steele has told management, this is from the Wall Street Journal, Joe Flint. She believes she was excluded from a special the network aired on race last month because she wasn't considered by certain black colleagues to be an authentic voice for the black community. A person familiar with the matter said she voiced her concerns to the ESPN president in early June, saying the incident showed the network has a divisive work environment. Ms. Steele said the colleagues told her she was considered for the special by the executive in charge until two of the other on-air personalities, Michael Eaves and Elle Duncan, complained. Saying Ms. Steele wouldn't be accepted by what they considered the black community, according to people familiar with her account to management.
Well, why would Elle Duncan if Sage Steele wouldn't? I don't know. What
do you mean?
Why would Elle Duncan be accepted by the black community and Sage Steele wouldn't?
Because she's a Republican, Sage Steele.
Oh, so you're telling me racists
yes.
would look up your voting history and treat you a certain way based on that?
Well, Sage Steele wants everyone to, Elle Duncan wants everyone to have an open mind and believe stuff unless you don't agree with her politically.
Right.
And then you get shamed. So it was a special on June 24th. She said, Ms. Steele said in a statement, she releases a statement on this. I found it sad for all that any human being. Oh, there's her statement about. I don't know if the statement is about this or not. I'll read it. I found it sad for all of us. Any human being should be allowed to define someone's blackness. Growing up biracial in America with a black father and a white mother, I have felt inequities that many, if not all, black and biracial people felt, include being called a monkey, the N-word, having ape sounds made as I walked by, words and actions that all of us know sting forever. Most importantly, trying to define who is and who isn't black enough goes against everything we're fighting for in a country and only creates more of a divide. Well, evidently that statement is about not being included. An ESPN spokesman denied that Ms. Steele was not invited to participate, which, of course, I don't fucking believe at all. Ms. Steele, first of all, I totally believe this. This definitely happened. This is how ESPN works.
Why would Sage Steele risk her job and lie about that?
That's a good question.
Wouldn't she be fired? If it didn't
I
happen,
don't know if
she just came out and said this?
That's a tough way to fire her, though.
If she's lying?
I mean...
If she's blatantly lying, if they said, hey, we asked you to participate in this, or you never wanted to participate in this.
It'd be tough, because she might have the wrong politics to be involved in something like this, but it'd be tough for them to fire a minority tough to fire a black publicly in this
person
moment.
Right now because she's complaining. It'd be a very tough thing for ESPN to do.
Regardless of what she's complaining about.
And by the way, they're in a pretzel over this at this point, because their ideology is so screwed up.
I mean, if she was complaining about the cleanliness of the bathrooms, it would be a tough firing.
So if she's blatantly lying, accusing the company of racism when it just doesn't exist, if there's no evidence of it or anything?
Wouldn't do it. Ms. Steele, a 13-year ESPN veteran, host of the 6 p.m. flagship Sports Center. Also, by the way, parenthetically, before I get back to this, a woman who Jerry Callahan was obsessed with in Houston, the Super Bowl in Houston.
Oh, really?
She was at our hotel. She's spectacular!
Do you think she was talented, or
I don't even
other
really cared? She's a striking woman in person, I will say. A striking woman.
Smoking hot as a kid.
Well, I don't know how I never saw her as a kid, but he was like, oh my God, he was all fired up.
Makes sense that she's conservative. She was an Army brat.
Yes, right. Self-described Army brat. His father is a West Point alum and a retired colonel. She's criticized those who don't stand. You flag this, would you please, Steve? We'll get to it. She has criticized those who don't stand during the national anthem.
I disavow.
Shit. All right, never mind. I take it all back. I hope they do fire her.
Fire her.
Yeah, good. Now you see my point. They should get rid of her.
So she has an opinion on. By the way, I don't agree with her, but she has an opinion on that. Like her father fought in the military, and like her brain is wired to think that's a bad thing, and then it went from her brain to her mouth, and she spoke those words out loud.
Well, they've embraced political opinions now, by the way. ESPN.
Yeah,
they're allowed to give political opinions, right?
No, some, not all.
Oh, yeah, I'm very confused with all this.
She is. This one's even worse than ESPN.
Oh, no.
She is sometimes called out athletes for off-field missteps.
What? Why would she?
Please don't say King James. Please don't say King James.
Why would she? Why would she do that?
Did she ever say anything about Kobe?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Recently,
It'd be devastating.
she did something on the air recently that I don't like. She told the truth about something. Recently, she said on air on social media that most black athletes were unwilling to criticize Deshaun Jackson for making anti-Semitic comments. The silence is deafening, she said on ESPN.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your appetizer, Mike? Would you like the main meal now?
Okay, I guess. Not really seeing...
In an Instagram post, Ms. Steele said the lack of outrage over Mr. Jackson's remarks were especially frustrating given the backlash Drew Brees faced for his stance on players kneeling during the anthem.
What a... Fuck it. I won't say the word.
Don't. Well, wait a minute. What do you mean?
We all know what she is. Capital B, my friends.
Okay, better. Saying he would never agree with anybody disrespecting the flag of the United States of America or our country. By the way, I love this next sentence. Mr. Brees later apologized for what he said were his insensitive remarks. What a scrambled egg. Just on the floor. Just unbelievable.
It is that. So that's what me and Steve were talking about before the show.
I'm not. Dessert's about to be served.
Okay, all right. But hold on.
How about having the balls to ask these two questions?
Let me hear. Fire away.
Are we all in on holding people accountable for insensitive remarks, or only when it's convenient for us?
Why would she say something like that? Did she know?
Get Elle Duncan on the phone. We're gonna work to get this woman not out of ESPN, out of the business.
I think we owe Elle an apology.
Completely out of the business.
When she said, to be fair, when she said this stuff, did she know microphones were on? Maybe not.
She wrote it, as a matter of fact.
Oh no.
Maybe it was in her diary and somebody stole it. That's going around.
That's possible.
Yes. I know Steve from Providence just procured a diary. He said.
Oh yeah.
He's got a gun in the diary now.
Amazing.
I mean, the absolute nerve to expect people to be held accountable by the same standard that others are is a horrible, horrible thing. And that's really what Elle Duncan and these people are saying. They are saying that she is not, it's not even so much black enough. It's just, she's not in tune politically. She just doesn't have the same ideology. And by the way, for all, this ideology is not expressed here. She just happens to ask legitimate questions.
Yeah. It is the ideology is expressed by Elle Duncan and others in ESPN. They're saying the quiet part loud now, which is that this has nothing to do with race or racism or representation. This is all about a left-wing political agenda.
And there are clearly, like, as much as one side keeps yelling about how this country is racist and race this and race that, they are clearly, at the very least, discriminatory against one particular group of people in this country. And
exactly.
Trying to do everything they can to take their rights away. Like, it's fucking nuts.
Sorry, I was just, while you're making a good point, I'm laughing because do you see 617 Report's last tweet, Steve? I just retweeted it.
Sorry, I was looking at all the hate for Sage Steele on Twitter.
Oh no.
I just read it. Describe the picture.
Please.
So Featherstone has this tweet. He says, phone lines are open. Yes. You can discuss Cam Newton or ask who drives a white Jeep Gladiator, whatever it is. The latter might get a reaction. And 617 Report said, poor Mike, and then has a photograph of what?
So there's a road scene set up. Looks like there's some traffic cones. There's a little bit of police caution tape, some onlookers. And then there is what appears to be a dead hippopotamus.
Yes.
No.
It's a very large hippopotamus.
It is.
Looks like it's
supposed to be me.
I didn't feel like that's
bloody. It's bleeding.
Yes, Mike. I think it is. I think it is.
Oh, that's what I was afraid.
It's just cruel. That's not. Again, we're doing over these important stories, and it's time to focus on the important stuff. Right. Oh, I know. You're right. Sage Steele, like Steve was saying. Sage Steele, of course, now is like blue checkmark hates her.
What? Over what? Like, what the fuck are we doing?
It's just
over
crazy.
What?
It is.
Why
it's
do you
nuts.
possibly hate Sage Steele?
It's actually crazy. It's legitimately crazy.
And you know what? None of it gets any better after the election. Because if Joe Biden wins, it gets worse. If Trump wins a second term, it gets worse.
Well, I would also say, like, now if she, Sage Steele might come on. We should ask her, honestly.
Yeah.
Ask her to come on. I would love to have Jamel Hill on or Elle Duncan on. And I would just say, how about, like, if you can have a real conversation, so you're going to have 15 people who feel the exact same way about every issue?
Yes.
Or if Sage Steele on is just going to say, hey, listen, I've been called these things as well. I've had a different experience, maybe the same experience. But I also think it's crazy to give Deshaun Jackson a pass and shit all over Drew Brees.
You're not supposed to do that.
I mean, it's crazy, insane groupthink.
It's also, there's this weird thing that ESPN has always had, kind of. Like, when you talk about not black enough, they've, like, from Tony Kornheiser and Wilbon to Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless, or Stephen A. Smith and Kellerman, like, it's the idea of pairing a white guy and a black guy. Like, they're naturally going to be at odds with each other.
Right.
So it's kind of an idea at ESPN that, like, you're supposed to have these different ideologies if you're a different race, which is inherently fucking racist.
Of course, I don't, but I totally believe this story. Like, they're lying. They're lying. She definitely wanted to be on. She would have done it, and they were like, and I bet you the Elle Duncans, it's no different than the Barstool workplace, where like, fuck this guy, this belief, this ideology. No, we're not going to do it. It's the same thing, and they act like fucking children.
I don't think she would come out and say it if it wasn't true. Whereas Elle Duncan has a she
looks like an asshole.
Elle Duncan's perfectly safe if she comes out and says her story, and maybe there's some fabrication going on or something. Sage Steele is going to get shit on all day.
She already
every day.
is. Yeah,
is going to be excluded, and that when she leaves ESPN, is looking for another job, people aren't going to want to touch her because she's a fucking Republican.
Right? Maybe.
She
might not even be. I don't know. She probably is.
She's just independent-minded skeptic. She asks questions.
But it's crazy. Like, but of course it's crazy. I'm like, maybe she is. Maybe who gives a fuck if she is or she isn't? Like,
that's true too. I'm doing it now too, right. Where I assume she's a Republican just because she doesn't think Drew Brees should.
And then she said things in the past. I think my guess is she's a Republican.
Even if she is a registered,
it's like my way of saying, I guess. It's like, I guess the guy's probably a registered sex offender. Like, who fucking cares?
Even if she is a registered Republican, don't you think that black Republicans in this country have a unique experience of exclusion and inclusion
but
too?
Also,
whatever ESPN's doing.
When she was 17 or 18 or 13 or 14, she wasn't a Republican or a Democrat really then.
Well,
she was a person going through shit. And I guarantee, I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was in high school, some asshole said that to her when she walked by. Of course.
I'm sure the black experience in a military base is a little bit different than what anyone else at ESPN who hasn't been in a military
base. Or the black experience as wherever she started professionally, as a 22-year-old young black woman working somewhere in some place where I bet you everyone was white.